You must find that space within you which has nothing to say about anything. You must find that space within you which has nothing to change about anything. That space which sees even your most fearful and anxious thoughts, yet has no fear itself and has no desire to change or manipulate or get rid of or run away from those fearful thoughts. This space is not to be created. It is simply to be recognized. It is already the deepest aspect of your perceiving. It is already from where you know your thoughts, your emotions, your everything else. Right now you are just operating under the assumption that you're operating from the level of mind and body. And this is the machine that you believe is responsible for perceiving and knowing. But these mechanisms, the body and the mind, they themselves are known by something prior to and deeper than them. And that place which I speak of, that sees, yet has no involvement, that sees but is not affected by anything that is arising and subsiding in it. That is the space that is prior to your mind and your body. And that is, you can say, your inmost essence, your beingness, your aliveness, your presence. See, right now you're conditioned, we're all conditioned to kind of live through mind, right? Constantly there's just this dialogue running. Even looking at, something so simple as like a pen. Automatically you start to think about the pen, the brand, like what the pen looks like as compared to the pens you've used in the past, or this pen writes really good. So there's constantly this dialogue just running. And this is how we have come to perceive life, and we believe that this is normal. But actually this is not the natural state. Because this requires effort to maintain. This extracts energy from you. So because we're conditioned to live like this, we have lost the ability to be without thought, to observe at what arises without interpretation, without judgment, without labels, without memory and anticipation. So that's why we have no peace, because all we know and all we operate from is unstable. It arises and subsides. It changes. And where there is change, there can be no peace. Where there is desire and fear, there can be no peace. Okay? So that is why I say you must find that space within you, which is not afraid, which is not itself something that comes and goes, which has no desire for change, which has no fear of any outcome. That space which sees all, yet remains unaffected by what it sees. Just like the movie screen, on which there is a big fire, a forest fire on the movie screen, yet it does not damage the screen. That space lies within you. And you can only learn to recognize the space, right? Because let's talk about that. I don't want to just talk about the space and not show you how to see this for yourself. First, I will say that pretty much all the other videos on this channel are to really help you see this. So, there's many step-by-step processes I've also done. So always feel free to really kind of go through the videos on this channel especially in my self-inquiry, self-realization playlists, because I teach you really how to practice this and become more internally still so that you can recognize this. But for today's video, in whichever way we're going to express it, let's do that now. So in order to cultivate this recognition of this place of stillness within you, you must learn to observe without judgment. Okay, so I want to give you a quick example. Take, for example, there's a huge crowd of people in front of you. You're on like a busy street, or you're in the mall. Or for those of you who are from New York City, then you know like the big crowds in Times Square or many other, busy avenues. So think of like all these people. And let's say you have to make it across to the other side of the street. You simply navigate the crowd. You're not so concerned with the crowd, you just simply navigate the crowd, and you could just go smoothly across the street through the crowd. Because you're just concerned with, getting through them, and you just make your way through. Now imagine that you started to really get hooked by and on to the people that you were seeing in the crowd. So each time like you take a step, now you're like wondering what this person had for dinner, or you're wondering who did this person's hair, or what brand is this person wearing and their clothing, or you start to go up to them and you start to engage with them, like hi, hello, trying to make friends. So now you become really sticky, right? Now you're just like mingling, you're interacting, you're engaging, you're interested, right? Only because there's interest, you're interacting. And now to get through that same crowd is going to take forever. And it's going to feel exhausting having to engage with everybody on the way. So you see, just in that way, a lot of mind, right? Mind is happening. A lot of thoughts are happening. When you have so much interest in each one of these thoughts and what they have to say, interest also meaning like the negative interest, which is like fear. When you're anxious about a possibility of the future. So that's a thought which you're interested in. So interest is not just, I want this. Interest is also, I don't want this. So when there's interest, so much interest, you become very, very sticky within this crowd of thoughts. And you automatically, without, any sort of conscious decision, you just interact, engage, give energy to all these thoughts that are just happening. And you get so caught up in the crowd that you don't even consider it a possibility that there's anything other than this crowd. That's all that life becomes. And that is our conditioning. And it is very exhausting, and it drains your energy to interact with everybody in the crowd, all these thoughts. So when we talk about observing your thoughts without interpreting or interaction or clinging, we're really talking about us moving swiftly through the crowd. In the crowd, right, when you're moving swiftly through the crowd, you're not pushing people away, you're not trying to get rid of them out of your way, you're just simply navigating your way, like smoothly. So just when we're talking about observing, we're not talking about getting rid of thoughts, trying to fight against thoughts, because you will just get further caught up in the crowd, and you will create a further problem in the crowd if you push people. So we must learn to observe without interacting. We must learn to observe without interest. Wherever there is interest, there is this personal identity involved, which will become very, very sticky, very, very quick, interacting and engaging with all these thoughts. So we must set all that aside and learn to observe without any need to do, change, manipulate, get rid of, or run away. So here I'd like to give you an example, another example that may make this easier for you to understand. Let's just say you're sitting in front of just a blank wall, okay? So this wall, which has nothing on it, and you're just sitting here, And it's going to be much easier to just be there and observe, because the wall has nothing of use to you. It's not going to add anything to your life, but it's not really going to take anything away from your life. It has nothing of interest. You're just staring at a blank wall. So it's not very stimulating. Yeah? Now compare that to you sitting in a park with a lot of people. And you're alone, and there's a lot of people. There's a beautiful lake. The colors of the grass and the trees are very vivid. Birds are singing, doing all their thing. People are eating food. Some people are laughing on the side. So you're just like now observing this. Rather than sitting in front of a wall, you're sitting in front of this scenery. And it's very, very stimulating. And your mind is going everywhere because it is interested. You're interested in the scenery. You're seeing, oh, that beautiful family. Hopefully I'll have a family like that one day. Or you're looking at like this person alone, totally at peace, meditating, and you're like, I hope I can do that one day. I'm too self-conscious to sit alone in a park and meditate. Or so you're just constantly interpreting. You're not just able to be there without any interpretation. You're not able to observe without any interpretation. You're not able to just be with this beauty or whatever you're observing. So now if you bring in the quality of like observing a blank wall into the observation of the beautiful park or whatever, and let's not even give it the label beautiful, just the park and with all these people, it's going to become easier. So that's how you can learn to observe without interest, right? Just kind of compare the two. Where there is no interest, there is no need for the mind to constantly interpret and do this and that. So interest is what we must sever. We must simply disengage from for temporary periods of time. Because why? Because that will allow you to be with what is as it is. And just by repeatedly doing this, right, you will cultivate the recognition of that inner stillness that I speak of. You will start to recognize that you are already in that deeper place, your innermost essence, which is observing without the need to do anything. The witness of all that occurs. The witness which remains unaffected by all these little personal emotions, pains, wants, not wants, and circumstances. Just by this simple little act of learning to observe without interpretation. Similar to when you're sitting in front of a blank wall and there's really nothing of interest, so it's not stimulating. In that same way, actually being within the tons of stimulation, but still remaining unaffected, because you're finding depth into your being now. And if you really look at it, why do people spend so much money on art? Why do people spend so much? So if you look at the best art pieces, people spend millions and millions of dollars on them, because they actually induce them into this very quality by just being able to observe without any sort of interpretation. They may interpret later what they see, but like just this quality of still observation, just being with what is. The heart recognizing the heart. And there's just silent being. In the beginning, this is boring, I will agree. And also the mind doesn't see the meaning in this, it doesn't see the benefit in this. But over time you will see that this just this simple little practice of being without thought, observing without interpretation, this will still your mind like nothing else. This will help you wake up to what you truly are. This will allow you to not be so caught up in mind all the time. This will allow you to live life as it's meant to be lived. This will allow you to save so much energy because you're not wasting it on, like, understand that even though your thoughts are habit now, they're extracting a lot of energy from you all the time, all day, and it's exhausting to think. Maybe you even feel this sometimes. This capacity to observe without interpretation will change everything for you. You have to understand that right now your thoughts only bother you because there's a capacity to further interpret your thoughts, and there's interest, so much interest. When you learn to abide in that place within you where there is no interest, your fears will melt off. Many of your desires that you don't really care for, it's just the mind chasing them, they will also melt off. And all that will remain is just true authenticity to live the life that you want to live, to provide what you want this mechanism naturally wants to provide, whatever your purpose, your theme is, and just the capacity to be as you are without being so stuck in the world, in the crowd. And it's a truly transformational practice. And I really encourage you to try this out. Obviously, putting this further into place, you will need a meditation practice, and you will need to live more consciously throughout the day. For that, check out the many other videos on this channel. You could even check out my most preferred or suggested playlists in the description box below, okay? If this is the first video you're watching from me, please explore the others, because you will see that it's not just about one technique or one video. You will see that generally we cover a holistic way of living on this channel in this teaching, which will take you much deeper into actual spirituality, not spiritual entertainment. Okay? Hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching this video. Now, if you want to be personally coached by me to dissolve mind identification and discover your true being, you can check out all the details for my Higher Consciousness Shift program. I'll link it down below, and it'll be under the coaching section. Okay? Other than that, please give this video a thumbs up to support the channel, and subscribe for more videos like this. I will see you next time.